Hello, it's Kelly here. Welcome to my channel Animal Instinct. It's Sunday the 23rd of August 2020 and I'm finally back after about 2 months for another cross-stitching update. I can't believe it's been that long, just been really flat out with work and study, and I haven't been stitching as much as normal either. It's just all been, there's a lot. Anyway, it's fine, I'm back. And because it's been 2 months, I've got a fair bit to go through, so I guess let's get into it. I thought I'd start with my haul. I don't have much at all. I've got one parcel that I just received this last week. I ordered it from my bobbin in Russia possibly 3 months ago. I can't really remember. I'd sort of forgotten about it, to be honest, and it was one of those stash enhancement purchases that I didn't really need. Yeah, I didn't really need it. I just felt the need to acquire some stash. So it was a bit of a surprise when it came. I had to go and pick it up from the post office. I don't know why, because I'm still working from home, so I would have heard the postie if they'd knocked, so I suspect they didn't even worry about that. Just found the card slipped under the door. And it was quite funny because when I did pick it up, it caused a bit of a stir. The workers were quite taken by all the Russian stamps. And then some of the customers in the store were really curious too. I can't remember seeing quite so many stamps on anything in recent times anyway. So I couldn't really remember what I ordered, and I deliberately didn't look it up so it'd be a surprise when I opened it. So I thought I'd show you. Let's see. It's a whole lot of random stuff. I don't really know what I was thinking. Anyway, the first is a series of little magnets, I think, and they're sewing themed. So they're quite cute. And I've just opened it. I haven't looked at it, but I just took it out of the plastic packaging so it wouldn't be annoying, just to see what they include. So here's the floss. And okay. So some plastic, some canvas to stitch on. Yep. And there's a needle in there, which is great. There's some felt to back them. And sticky magnet. So I guess I potentially could turn those into needle minders if I wanted to. Not really sure yet. Anyway, they're quite nice. Nice little small things that won't take too long to stitch. And then I got another one, same sort of deal. I haven't opened them and I won't. It's Succulents. And I bought a Riolus, I think it was called Fantasy Biscornu kit. I don't really know why I bought a kit. I've got stuff to make. I've got many patterns and the gear to make others, but anyway, it's kind of cool with the full kit. And then I have this owl that I think you stitch into a cushion, and I kind of thought that there'd maybe be some information about finishing it. I don't think there is. I've just had a bit of a quick look through, but that's all right. I can figure that out. But it's a full kit, so the colours, they're kind of those retro like 70s browns and oranges, and it's on 11 count Aida. And there's a needle, so it's got everything you need to get started. I haven't stitched on 11 count Aida since I was in Shanghai years ago, 10 years ago, and I needed something to occupy my time on my, I had a big long train trip coming up, the Trans-Siberian, Trans-Mongolian trains, and I just randomly found this cross-stitch store, and it literally was just, it was really small, but the walls were lined with kits all made by this Chinese company. And so I stitched a Chinese style horse and a large full coverage Chinese like village scene on 11 count Aida. So we'll see how that goes. No plans to start that. soon. This last one, I don't really know what I was thinking. Anyway, it is a moth. I quite like moths. I've got one of Kathy Berrick's moths ready to go, all kitted up. This though is embroidery. And what I probably didn't take notice of is that you're actually supposed to put it onto like your clothes, but I don't think I want a big hairy moth on my shirt. So I might have to think about how I stitch that. But it comes with quite detailed instructions about what order you should do the stitching in, and comes with this, just find out what they called that. I think it was water soluble interfacing with the pattern on it. And then I guess, yeah, you must, it looks like you probably iron that on, yeah, you'd iron that onto your fabric and then stitch it. So it's got all the floss, including a gold metallic. So I will stitch it, I reckon, just for fun, something different, but not on clothing. I'm not sure what I'll do it on. Anyway, that's a decision for another day. So that was my little Russian haul. So I've got my notes here. I'm feeling a bit out of practice. Yeah, so in the last 2 months, I've kind of jumped between lots of projects. Just found it hard to concentrate on anything for too long. And often, you know, I might put 4 stitches in and then fall asleep. So let's have a look. Let's start with finishes. So since my last video, I have had a few little finishes. The first one is, sorry, got lost there. Oh, my Stitch alone. So Stitch is a cross-stitch designing company, husband and wife, and I've been doing their stitch alongs, which they call the Stitch alongs, for the last few years. This year they ran a Stitch alone, in keeping with the theme of, you know, staying apart. And normally it would be a mystery pattern, but they did release it this year. They just didn't, they wanted it to be low stress. So I guess I'll just show you my finish. Needs an iron. Bless this house. So we saw the finished pattern before we started, and there were some suggested threads to use, but basically they didn't want people to go out and, you know, worry about trying to source difficult things. So it was just pick 6 colours from really light to really dark, and it needed to be, you needed to stitch with 2 strands because there were blends. I don't know if you can see, but I actually made his eyes blue, that sort of piercing blue. And that was a really fun, easy stitch, very enjoyable. And I look forward to whatever they come up with next time. I did it on 16 count Aida. I think I said in previous videos, I started with an 18 count, but for some reason I wasn't happy with the way the stitches were sitting. They seemed a bit cramped. So I went to 16 and that was perfect. I think it's antique white. That's that one. I've also been stitching some smalls to put together into a quilt, and my first idea earlier this year was to do a Be Well and Stitch themed quilt, after all the designers generously shared freebie patterns with the stitching community back in, was it March, April? And I collected a whole heap of them, and I've been slowly stitching on them. And I have finished a couple more. So I finished the Joan Elliott freebie, which was this little fairy. And I stitched this on 18 count Picture This Plus Da Vinci, using most of the called for DMC. and it does have some French knots. It was good to practice French knots. I haven't done any in a while. They're definitely not perfect. Don't look too closely. That one is, you can find that if you join her Facebook group, and it's a freebie in the files in there. And then another one I've finished is Red Berries. It's just a simple little design from Arena Orgy. She's on Instagram, and I stitched it on 18 count Ada, a little scrap from Jay's X Stitch that looks to be, you know, tea-dyed sort of colour. Just using DMC. It's just a nice simple little one. Oh, now this next one, hold please. Okay, sorry about that. I wasn't quite ready. The next one is a review of 2020, and this was a little start and a finish when I was feeling particularly stressed out. It's available from Love for Cross Stitch on Etsy for the number 4. It has bad words in it, which I've hopefully covered up with some needle minders. That's what I just needed to go to. Anyway, if you don't want to see bad words, maybe just fast forward a couple of minutes. There we go. So I stitched it using a Jodie Redesigns variegated sort of red and purpley colour. And then it was a brown Silks for You. And it just really fit with, yeah, everything that's happening this year for many reasons. So that's a cheeky little one. I don't quite know what I'll do with that. And then I participated in the Lindy Stitches mystery stitch along, and it was a 3-parter. I pulled out some, pulled out some fabric that I wasn't really sure what to do on it. It's 28 count spring bouquet, 28 count even weave, and I got it in a Sassy Devils pouch. But this design has a little girl in it, and I thought that it was perfect for that. So I will show you, it's pretty much finished. I do want to make one little minor edit. Onward Noble Steed. So after she released the final pattern, which I actually managed to stitch like as soon as it was released, before some information came to light, and so Stephanie released an alternate finish to turn that alligator into a dragon. I was kind of too far into it to be able to fix that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make that snout a little bit more solid, and it will look more like a Komodo Dragon. So little girl riding her Komodo Dragon. I used a DMC gold metallic on the reins and the bridle there. With the colour of the creature, she had recommended, now did I write this down? I think it was maybe it was a variegated green anyway, that I didn't have anything suitable. I didn't particularly like just the plain DMC on its own. I think it needed that sort of extra texture. And so I actually found a variegated sort of grey blue from Jodie Redesigns, Wicked Witch of the West. It's a bit darker than it. And what I did, I actually used one strand of this with one strand of 3011. I couldn't actually find that. It must be in another kit at the moment. So It's a green though. So one strand of green and one strand of blue-grey, and then you get that kind of effect, which I was really happy with. So yeah, I just need to put a few more stitches in his muzzle, make that a bit more solid, and turn him into a Komodo Dragon. I've actually been to Komodo Island in Indonesia, and I've seen them in their natural habitat, which was pretty cool. Okay, next one is a new start and a finish since I saw you last. I have been keen to do Lindy Stitch's Beautiful Things for a little while now. I had it all kitted and ready to go, and I started it and finished it. It needs a good iron, so I think it needs a good steam actually. I think that's my problem. I need to hit it with some steam because there's some wrinkles in the fabric that are proving a bit resistant. There we go. So I stitched it on 36 count linen from Jay's X Stitch. It's her Mulberries linen. And I used the Cold For, it was a combination of DMC and Classic Colourworks. And it was one of those pieces where you start it and you just can't stop. You're kind of obsessed. And I think I pretty much stitched this exclusively until it was finished. So I love that bird, it's so cute. The kind of like droopy flowers and the chipped pot. And there's the rusty falling apart wrought iron and the text. So I wanted to just point out a couple of things. Oh, there's a bit of fluff on it too. So I used 2 strands of floss for my crosses, 2 strands over 2. In the pattern, she suggested 1 skein of everything except for 3 of them, which I just wanted to show you. So River Rocks was the large text, oh my darling, it's true. And I am fairly conservative with my floss, although I don't really obsess about it too much, but I did only need the 1. So I think if you're going to do it, I guess to be safe, using 2 strands on 36 count, probably best to get 2 just in case. If you're doing 32 count or smaller, definitely need the 2. If you're doing 1 strand on 36 count or 40, I think you'd be fine with just the 1. It's a really nice grey though, so I'll definitely find something to use that with. And then the next one was the flower pot, Almost Auburn. Also suggested to get 2, and I reasonably comfortably just managed to use the 1. But that's another great colour. And then finally, Timber, which is this really cool greeny brown. This is what made me, I was going to just use DMC and I just couldn't see anything that worked quite so well. So then I just decided I'll just get the others too. And for that one, I did use 1 whole skein, but only breaking into the second one to write my initials, to stitch my initials. So that was tight. That was the tightest, I guess. I really enjoyed that, and I'm definitely looking forward to stitching other Lindy Stitches patterns. So next, I have a new start that I haven't finished. Last video, I showed some 20 count Ada from X2 Designs, Red Passion, that bright red, and I asked for some suggestions on what I could stitch on it. And thank you for the suggestions I received. I had a good look, went first to the long dog patterns, and I decided I've already got a couple of those on the go, so I wanted to try something else. So I found myself at Ink Circles, had a long look through there, and I settled on Woodland Vines. I'll hopefully have a photo up here. And I had it in my mind that I might like to use a variegated cream thread, but I wanted to see it in person first, and I didn't really have anywhere to do that. So I just looked at the DMC, and I actually settled on 3756, which is a very soft blue, not really my kind of colour, but on the red it looks really good. I'm using one strand of DMC it's 20 count, so one strand per X over one. So as a reminder, that's the fabric, and then bit out of practice, like I said. Here we go. That's what I've done. So that's the top left corner. What I did is I started in the middle, and I just started off the PDF. So not marking any stitches off, just reading the PDF. And I kind of got a little bit overwhelmed about which direction to go and if I'd get lost in the pattern. Because I wasn't marking off any stitches, I thought, oh, I could miss things. So I sort of jumped my way up to the top left corner, and then I felt happier up there. I have finished that page, and I've come down into this page now. And then I had an idea to see if it would work in Pattern Keeper, and it does. So it's really easy now to see what I've done and what I haven't done in Pattern Keeper. I think I've done about 20% maybe. But see how it kind of comes up as silver, not blue? Yeah, I'm really happy with that choice. I guess that'll be about the size. That's really enjoyable, and it stitches up fairly quickly. I haven't spent too many days on that. Have I written that down? No. But it stitches up fairly quickly when I do put some time into it, like anything, I guess. So really happy with that choice. Okay, I think we're up to whips. The second page of my notes. Yeah. Okay, so I've done a little bit on my temperature tree. I am a little bit behind for the first time this year. I've just started into August, so I guess I'm about 3 weeks behind. But when I caught up to August, I was probably over a month behind. It doesn't take long to catch up, which is great. So this is on 32 count linen, I'm pretty sure. And there we go. So we started down here in January in summer. Kind of a strange year. There were hot days, but it wasn't as hot. It was hotter at the end of last year. And then we've had very boring weather, and it's just gotten a little bit colder, so it went into the blues and those pinks and sort of grey blue, and it's been cold again, although it's going to be warmer again this coming week. However, I think now we did have a few days down 10 degrees Celsius maximum, which took me down to the coldest colour. Which one was that? I think, no, I'm not sure. I can't remember off the top of my head, but this is from Stitch and Mummy on Etsy, and it's really fun. I enjoy this one. Every time I pull it out, you catch up really quickly. So my goal was to be one branch ahead of where I'm actually at. This is the August branch, so I need to completely fill that up and also stitch the September branch as well. That's coming along nicely. Okay, next up is Atomic Garden by Carissa Rose. It's a Gecko Rouge kit. I'm stitching it on 25 count even weave. I've only spent 2 days on this one since I last saw you. You can sort of get an idea of how big her glasses are going to be. There's one rim, I guess. So not really a whole lot to show there. And then another Gecko Rouge is Storytime by Zazak Namu. And again, I've just worked on this one for 2 days. That could mean 2 evenings of 20 minutes each. This one was a little bit longer though. It's on 18 count Aida, and I'm using 2 strands to do the crosses, and I've come into her ponytail, the top of her ponytail. Yep. So I started using a trolley needle to railroad my stitches, so the top, so the 2 strands sit nicely, and I'm really happy with how it's looking. I should keep that one out, I think. Okay, and then I had an urge to work on my Hands Across the Sea, the Old Scott, this one. This is another one where I haven't actually spent much time, but when I stitch it, I really enjoy it. I'm thinking of pulling it out during September, sampler September, to do a bit more on it. But I'm working at the top, on the top border, the thistles, and I couldn't help myself. There's it's 4-sided cross stitch that goes around the whole pattern. So I just tried out a little bit of that too. I haven't decided if I'll do the whole border first and then come back to do the inside. I feel like I should do that, but we'll just see how we go. So I'm stitching it on 40 count ivory linen, and I am using the called for silks in this one, the Soie d'Alger silks. I think I always hesitate when I try and pronounce that. This is where we're up to. So it's coming along nicely. I don't know how well, I'm still not sure about focusing up close. But you can see the 4-sided stitch there stitches up pretty quickly. And then I've only got 2 more. I must have been rushing because this isn't a very long video, which is good. I pulled out my Firefly. Oh, you can see the tripod there. Anyway, not a good photo because it's laminated, so you're getting that glare. Firefly by Jenny Parks. It's my Epic Gecko Rouge kit. Jenny Parks is actually unwell at the moment, so I do wish her all the best. Hope she's feeling okay. I think I've got a photo from where I was last time. If I do, I'll put it up here, but I have made quite a bit of progress. So, hang on. Yeah. All right. So yeah, last time I had done, basically the page line is here, and I just peppered into here, but I've put in a lot of effort into doing that top of his head and his ears. Something else that I decided to try, because I was having kind of a serious look at all my whips and my the kits that I've got that I haven't even started, the full coverage ones, and trying to work out how on earth I'm going to finish any of them. And I decided to trial for this one. There's a lot of background, so oh, I did the sums. I worked out there's, you know, that maybe there's over 200,000 stitches of background. So what I've done a little trial up here. So the rest of, like his face, it's all one strand full crosses on 25 count. And I decided to try 2 strands of tent stitch in the background above here, ready to pull it out if I wasn't happy with it. But it's great. Obviously that bit's not filled in yet, so you can see the gaps, but the coverage is the same as the 1/1 full crosses, 2/1 half crosses. So and it's much quicker. So I think what I'm going to do is continue doing background in tent stitch and all the cats in normal full crosses. And I don't think you can't see that there's a difference when you're looking at it. So that's the plan. So he's beautiful. I love him. And then my last whip, I just pulled out last night. I just had an urge. It is Joan Elliott's The Time Traveller. Doing this as a stitch along with Darcy from Plan Knit Stitch on Instagram. Darcy, have you worked on this lately? It's kind of the most relaxed stitch along ever. Feel free to join us. JE Time Traveller Sal. So I think I previously had it on smaller Q snaps, but I decided to put it on an 11x11 last night so I could see it a bit more. I'm stitching it on 32 count Belfast linen. It's Gothic by Picture This Plus. And there we are. It's looking a bit see-through. Anyway, look at the red. It's like popping on that fabric. Doesn't quite look that vivid in real life, but on the camera, yeah. So my plan is to, khaki-handed here. Finish out that red part on her dress. So I've still got a fair bit to do on this side, but that is pretty much finished. I've got one more color you can see coming down here, plus there's a Krynic. Oh yeah, you can see it glistening. A Krynic that it looks like blue detail on the picture here, but it's kind of, it looks like blacky blue. I can't remember which one it is, but I'd really like to actually make some progress. So yeah, that's the end of my stitching. I've been trying to think about how I want to tackle the next few months. I am going to continue to not have much time, I would say, for another like 6 to 8 weeks. And then maybe life will calm down a little bit, but who knows? But I feel like if I have a project like this one out and just try and stitch on it where I can, and every now and then have like a really decent stitching session, I'll actually see some decent progress, because I've got a few languishing in my stash that really, I'd really like to get more progress on. So hopefully next time you see me, I will have finished that red section on her dress. I'm not going to promise when my next video will be, just because I know what's ahead. Uni will finish in, what are we now? In October. Work's gonna still be a bit crazy, I think, but at least I won't have the study on top of the full-time work. And then I can relax and we can get back into my normal routine. I hope that you're all well. It's been such a strange year, so many ways, COVID and more. So yeah, I really hope you're doing well. Thank you very much for hanging out and watching what I've been up to. I'm hopefully going to get back to watching some Flosstube soon too, but yeah, who knows what's going to happen. One thing that I haven't mentioned is Reggie, my little kitten. I've actually locked him in my bedroom to do this film. He's 6 months now. He's very sweet, very, very naughty, the naughtiest pet I've ever had. He loves his cat tree, and you can sort of see that really horrible cardboard fort thing that I've built. He loves that too. What you can't see is he's got a big cat bed that he's tried to drag through the hole, which, I mean, it just doesn't fit. He's obsessed with fetch, and the great thing is I just throw it and he brings it back to me, so that's awesome, because I can be lazy and he'll bring it back, although sometimes he brings these balls of paper and drops them on my face when I'm sleeping, and I wake up and there's a pile of stuff around my head. I might just pause it and go and grab him just to say goodbye, so I'll be right back. Okay, I have a wriggly little boy here, not so little anymore. Look, Reg. Anyway, he is focused on this. He loves chasing stuff. I do have actual toys. They're probably all under the couch, I think. So let's just try something. Where is it, Reggie? Where is it? He goes hunting. He looks everywhere. He will find it. Oh, oh, oh. Got it. Anyway, so he will be bringing that back to me to throw again. Anyway, I think with that's a great time to finish up. So I will hope to see you again soon. Happy stitching and take care. See ya.